Ready.
I show it's 4 o'clock. Call this meeting of the Economic Improvement Corporation to order. Thank everyone for attending. First order of business is we'll have an invocation. Mary Ellen.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and every day of our lives. We thank you for good work and good people to do it with. Thank you for all the good that you've put in our paths, all the many blessings that surround us. Through ups and downs, we thank you that you're always there, always with us, ever faithful. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Mary Ellen. It's not on my agenda, but this one we would typically have public comments. So is there anybody that would like to speak before the Economic Improvement Corporation? Not. Hello, Mr. Allen. We'll go ahead and move on to item number 1, consideration and possible action amendments to the Economic Development Grant Agreement dated March of 12 and February of 13 between Fox Tank and the City of Kerrville.
Mr. Chairman, I move we go into executive session under sections 551.071 and 551.087.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second it.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed? Motion's passed. At this point, at 4:01, we'll move into executive session.
I think we've done
I'm
this.
going to call us back into general session at 4:31. There was no action taken, no votes taken during executive session. And before we move forward, I apologize. I should have recognized, I understand we have new potential EIC, or not potential, but new EIC members in the audience. And if you don't mind, just would both of y'all stand up and introduce yourself to us?
My name is Gary Cooper, and we've been residents here for about 4 years. We've been coming here for about 40. My wife's parents were here, both her sisters were here, and so we've been showing up that we're Texans and that sort of thing. So we're delighted to be in paradise.
We're glad to have you. That's great. Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Robert?
I'm Robert Damon. I'm sure some of you have seen me here before. And been here 19 years and born and raised in Houston, so I'm a Texan. But I guess I'm still a newbie here in Kerrville. But I look forward to the opportunity to serve on this board, and I know it's important and critical to the city. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Robert. And again, just before we get to the order of business, I also want to thank Delane for her service.
Thank you.
Paul will be coming back, and the rest of the, Mary Ellen, you also understand you've been reassigned, I
Yes, I
guess.
am.
So, but thank you so much, Delane. It's been a
You're
pleasure.
welcome. It's been my pleasure.
It's been a great committee to serve on, and I think you gentlemen will really enjoy the opportunity to serve the citizens of Kerrville as we have. Okay, back to the order of business. Did Nathan leave? That's fine. I was gonna
He
address
extends his apologies. Unfortunately, he did have a previous engagement he wasn't able to reschedule, so.
it. That's fine.
Okay.
What we've asked staff to do is they've evaluated the numbers, and we've looked at the existing contracts. We've asked them to come back and make recommendations to the EIC, and I think that's what Mr. Hayes is going to do for us at this point. And then at that point in time, we can have any discussion, and if we're all in agreement with what the recommendations are, we can take action at that time. So, Mike, do you want to go over those with us?
Right, and let me just outline the process. So what I envision happening now is I'll go over the deal points and the changes that you all would like to see to both contracts. There'll need to be 2 amendments because there are 2 contracts. And so I'll go through those point by point from this document that was prepared by staff titled Potential Fox Tank Agreement Amendments. And I'm going to take a deep breath, but what I'm going to do is go as kind of slow as I can. But if you hear something that is out of line from the discussion, let's stop and talk about it. But at the end of the day, we will rely on Cheryl to kind of encapsulate this into her notes, and then you all can make a motion to accept those changes and then authorize Mr. Cochran as president of the EIC to execute the final amendment.
Okay.
So is that okay? Okay. So Reading from potential Fox Tank agreement amendments, I'll start with under the heading Fox Tank requests. So instead of that first bullet point, we're going to drop down to the additional staff recommendations, the final bullet point on that page, and we're going to allow Fox Tank to take an average of their monthly employment numbers, which will occur on the last day of each month as its employment obligation, to meet its employment obligation. And then going back up to Fox Tank requests, the second bullet point there, we're going to allow Fox Tank to include in its employment numbers both sales personnel and contract labor employees. Moving to the fourth bullet point, we are going to require Fox Tank to submit a penalty of $10,000, which is due and payable on or before December 31st, 2017. Moving into the City of Kerrville KEDC EIC requests, the first bullet point there, Fox Tank will be required to report their payroll totals on a monthly basis along with a sworn affidavit, and that information will be considered on as an average for the year to come up with those employment numbers. Second bullet point there is that Fox Tank will be required to improve landscaping and screening in such a way to basically work on the aesthetics and the views in that area, and that will be based upon some reasonable analysis by both parties with respect to what is practical in regards to height and percentage of view that is screened. Fox Tank, in the third bullet point there, will move its point of sale as much as possible. I assume that's what the contract language says now, or the proposed language says, to the Kerrville facility to maximize the local sales tax contribution. And as part of evidence of that, Fox Tank will report both Kerrville and Albany sales tax submittals to the KEDC on a monthly basis. And then finally, bullet point 4, Fox Tank will move forward with its petition for annexation on or before July 31st of 2017, which will include a survey that they have prepared for the portion of the property that is not currently within the city limit. So if I've captured everything, I think that's everything that...
Mr. Hayes, if you would, just clarify on the Fox Tank request, bullet point number 3. Did you cover that?
I didn't. I skipped over that because we won't make any change there.
Okay.
And so that is his request to reduce the penalty from $1,000 to $500 in the second agreement, and it's my opinion that you all have declined to negotiate and to do that. So that's why I skipped over that one.
Okay. Is there any questions for Mr. Hayes?
The only thing I remembered is the date that we might want to make sure he gets the survey done. Did we want to put a time on that? I'm sorry, the annexation, regarding the annexations.
It says July 31st.
July 31st,
okay.
2017.
Okay, sorry.
Did I say that?
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the recommendations and authorize you to execute both contracts as amended.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Brian, would you like to say anything before we go any further?
No, only, and I think it's safe to say Mr. Fox really does appreciate the board's consideration on this. Since this is an item of some negotiation, can you authorize the city attorney maybe to make minor modifications? Mr. Fox has not seen this, so, but I think he's negotiated in good faith as well as the board.
That's up to y'all. Certainly I would stay within the spirit of what I talked about in the language here. There might be some.
Just
And
language,
obviously,
yeah.
Clarity, language, and, enforcement and all that, we're happy to make those.
Okay.
All right, then.
Sure, and I'll modify my motion to include at the discretion of the city attorney and the president of the EIC.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I think that is all that we have to do. I'll have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I've got a motion, got a second?
I'll say.
I got a second down there. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Adjourned at 4:40. Thank y'all for your service.
Thank you, dear.